Hey guys, welcome back to the shop for another Flea Market Finds episode. This is going to be stuff that I picked at the Thompson International Speedway swap meet in November of 2023, and this is going to be a pretty good sized pick, so probably going to have to split this into a couple of different episodes, but let's dive right in. One dealer I found had several of these various electronic items or electrical items and hardware. I put together this lot right here, and for 10 bucks I got two good-sized double pole, double throw toggle switches with nice, really long shafts on them here, and two packs of these crimp-on copper lug terminals for like doing on battery cables and stuff. So those will come in handy. I was thinking on the Ford 5000 tractor, I know I got to redo some of the wiring on the starter of that thing. And then this generic toolbox replacement lock cylinder, the DZ, so with two keys. Then from another dealer, he had a lot of Machinist stuff. I ended up going back to him more than once, but the first time through, the prices started out higher, and as the day goes on, they would come down. And then I think I even went back to him on day 2. But anyways, this pile of stuff right here was 75 bucks, and 30 of that was, he had a whole pile of chucks, and I passed on all of them. There were no good keyless ones in there, I don't think, and there was mostly Jacobs in there, and this is the only one that I zoomed in on was this Jacobs ball bearing monster. This is what the heck number is this one? This is an 18N. Alright, so the capacity on this thing is, well, I don't know, I don't remember, but it's a big sucker. So yeah, everybody wants keyless chucks now, but when you get into the really big sizes like this, these Jacobs super chucks still can't be beat. So 30 bucks for that, it's a good deal. And then this box of rusty crusty R8 collets, I think there's 17 of them in here. They're all, I think, good old US made. Worth cleaning up, I would say. I hope so. 15 bucks for that, so that's 45 right there. And then for 30 more, I got this no-name square, this little clamp-on vise, big deal, and this nicely made Machinist's grinding vise, precision grinding vise. So I don't think there's a name on this thing. We got one little oopsie right here on the side, but whoever made this thing, if this is not commercially made, I'm surprised, because it's just really a nice job they did. But anyways, all right. Oh, so in case you're wondering, this is the 18N chuck. This capacity is up to 3/4 inch, and if you're wondering whether or not Jacobs made a bigger one, yeah, they did. The 20N. This capacity of this chuck is up to 1 inch. It's massive. Next up, I found a guy who had these two CB radios, and they are in rough looking shape, and they're completely as is. No power cords, no microphones, no nothing. But what I liked was that these are Galaxy export radios. So these have like a ton of extra frequencies built into them. They have FM, and I think they're sideband. No, they're not. Okay, that one's not sideband. So this is a Galaxy DX33HML, complete mess as is. And this one's a little cleaner. Well, spoke too soon. Actually, the face has got some serious rub on it there. But all right, so this is also a DX33HML. And I got the two radios for 15 bucks, so I took a chance on them for 15 bucks. Well, just for giggles, let's see if there's any life left in these two radios I bought. This one is smashed in pretty well right here on the side where the plug is, but that's just the chassis. It doesn't necessarily mean that the board was damaged. And oh, geez, that volume control is gonna need some attention. I'll tell you what, that sounds like it's receiving. Ooh. It's loud on FM, that's for sure. Let's see. RF power, low, medium, high. Anal noise blanker. Band, high and low. And then there's all of these. Oh, so that's going to be what these letters here. D, A, E, B, F, C. So when it's on low, it's probably A, B, and C. And then when it's on high, it's D, E, and F. So this is a... for those of you who might not know, this is what's called a 10-meter export radio. So typically what they do is they modify them so that they'll cover the 11-meter CB band. But that means that they also have the ability to go into the ham bands where you're not supposed to be transmitting unless you are licensed properly. So let's throw a wire on this and see if we get any receive. Well, I did pick up a sidebander on whatever channel this is. It says 6, but I know I was on a different band. Oh, no, there's some skip right there. Yep. Alright, so it has ears. Let's see if it transmits. Get a dummy load. Now, so that radio, I can't seem to get any modulation out of it. Tried another microphone, one that isn't a preamplified mic, and it still doesn't swing at all. And then it's got that intermittent horrible noise coming through, which is probably a cold solder joint or a noisy cap. I'm not going to mess around with it anymore. I decided I'm going to try this one. This is the other one. I thought these radios were identical because they're both DX33HMLs. And they look exactly the same layout on the faceplate and everything. The difference is, on that one I just put away, there's a jack right here to interface with a frequency counter. And it doesn't exist on this one. So I wonder if they just added that later. Maybe it's maybe this is an older version of it. I don't know. Well, let's see what this one does. Brought my moldy oldie watt meter out because the other one seemed to be malfunctioning. Oh, I did notice another issue with that last radio. The last radio, the signal meter did not work. It was just stuck in one position and did nothing. And this radio already is starting to look like... Well, we've got no light for the meter. Not hearing any audio. That's the volume all the way up. No transmit. Interesting, the light doesn't even change. That's funny. There's a couple screws missing from this cover already. I wonder if this radio has been hacked. Well, I took the bottom off because there was already 2 screws missing from the bottom cover. And what I'm seeing is quite a bit of corrosion here on the inside of the cover here. You can see right there, it's quite a bit. And that is right in this back area right here. So, like right away I'd be concerned about these screws right here that go through the board. They look like they also act as ground points. So I could see that there's probably some bad grounds in this radio. This elastic or whatever they used here to hold these wires in position is broken free in this spot right here. I don't know if that's just from age or whether or not somebody popped that free to get to these connections underneath here. They don't look that bad.
If anything, I'd say these over here look like they've been retouched, and we've got a diode put in the circuit right here, which I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. So you can see it right here. There's a little tiny diode right there. But then I just took the screws out here and popped this cover and peeked under the hood, and what do we have here? So this says TT-121, Sally and JB. I don't know who Sally and JB are. Oh my. What is going on there? I'm wondering what this gray stuff is. I don't know if that's just more corrosion. Maybe moisture was able to get stuck in this thing.
This horrible looking rusty piece of junk is actually a Parker tubing bender, and it's not all seized up, so as ugly as it looks, it will probably still work perfectly fine. And because it looked like a rusty piece of junk, and I don't even think the guy knew what this was, I got it for $2. So that was a good deal. And then I think from the same guy I got that from, I got this little lot right here for $20, these 3 pieces, which is this little Starrett micrometer, 0 to 1 inch. Nothing special, but you know, decent little micrometer, and it's a little stiff, but it's not frozen. This Starrett speed indicator, which I've had these before. These don't tend to bring a whole lot, but what I liked about this one was it's not missing the tip like many of them are, and it's actually in really good shape. It's got the original paperwork for the number 107 speed indicator and the original box. And in case you're wondering how these work, basically this was for back in the days when you actually wore a wristwatch with a second hand, and you would actually time how long it took for this to go around, and you do a quick calculation based on how many seconds, and you'd get RPMs. And the third item that was included in that lot for $20 is this old set. So yeah, kind of interesting. It's got 4 taps that come with it, and this funky, these have sharp edges. I don't think there was a name anywhere on this, but I just thought it was kind of neat. So I just checked, and it says right here on this that this is a Blue Point, and even these taps are Blue Point, except for this one. This one's an Ace, but that just tells me that at some point in its life somebody either lost this tap or broke this tap and replaced it with another brand. I put together this little lot here of stuff at a dealer and got it for $15. The only thing that's missing is I did get a little pair of little set of Toolmaker's buttons on a brass base. Temporarily have misplaced those, so if I find it before the end of the video, I'll show them. But you know, you've probably seen the Toolmaker's buttons before. I got these 2 random little tap wrenches. This one I think is completely unmarked, and this one is a ratcheting tap wrench. So it's got this ability, you can put it in the middle here and it's like a regular tap wrench, or you can change direction with the ratchet, which is kind of neat. Most of the ones of these that I come across are German. This one I don't know who makes it. It's marked just to lift and turn to change the ratchet mode. Oh, so for $15 I got these 2 little tap wrenches. This nice little Starrett outside caliper. This is the Toolmaker series. These are a little bit nicer. This random pin vise, which is also a Starrett, and just a few random gauge blocks, but they're good ones. They're Weber's, at least that one is. Yeah, it looks like these are all good brand name gauge blocks. That's a Brown and Sharp. And then a couple of these micrometer gauges. That's a Starrett one. And I got these 3 wrenches in this bag here for $12. Antique wrenches. This is a little giant with a patent date of 1918 on it. February 4th, 1913. Little giant 10-inch. Kind of a neat one. Greenfield, Massachusetts. It has the Greenfield tap and die
logo right there. So that's kind of neat. I have one of my repeat buyers. He's a fan of anything Greenfield. And then the guy also had these two unusual wrenches right here. This one says Iron Ace. And this one says number 3 Planet Junior. I think these are for farm equipment, but I'm not positive on that. And then this one right here is also another Planet Junior, just a little bit different style. So actually it was 4 wrenches for 12 bucks, so $3 a piece for those. And I picked up this unusual gauge. Clearly it's a radius gauge. It's marked Hartford, Connecticut, USA. Orson D. Bayer, but it's Bayrer. So that's a spelling I'm not familiar with. And it's marked February 10th, 1908. Well, if that's a patent date, apparently it was never patented or never applied for, because I searched all the patent databases I could by date, couldn't find anything with this guy's name on it. On the back here, it's got the listings of the sizes of the radiuses, and they're all in 64ths. So these are all marked in 64ths. None of the fractions are reduced. It starts at 5 64ths and goes up to 48 64ths, which is kind of weird. But I have no idea what it's for. Somebody had a sticker on here. They had this priced for $50. I got it for $5. And I ran into a guy I haven't seen in years. He used to work at a diesel mechanic shop that I used to stop in from time to time and talk to the guys who owned it. And he ended up going to work for a machine shop. And so he was there just selling off some stuff he got probably for free at the machine shop. And I looked through some of the stuff he had. There's a belt lacer that I bought, a little miniature vice mount one that is also temporarily misplaced. If I find it, I'll show it to you. If not, well. But I got that from him for $10, which is a good deal. And then I ended up getting all of these slitting saws that you see here. So quite a few different sizes and diameters and thicknesses. All that you see in this box, plus this bag, which is pretty full of slitting saws. I actually put a couple of, well, there's one of the items I was missing right there. All right, let me put that bag off to the side. All right, so I'm not going to take these all out, but I mean, this is just chock full of slitting saws. Look at this. This is a stack of what looks like 4 cutters that are obviously brand new old stock. And then inside these sleeves right here are these nice big suckers, and these are high-speed steel DMOS. This is from the W.D. Quinn Saw Company of Belle Grove, Missouri. I think it's interesting that somebody put a question mark on here. They're probably questioning what the heck size these were, because they do not have a normal dimension stamped on them. They actually say 160 by 15 by 32. So, I'm guessing the 160 is 160 teeth. And these do appear to be brand new. There's no sign of any wear on the tips of the teeth. Here's another one. It's this thinner one. All right, well, enough of that. $15 for that whole pile. That's a deal. Oh, so these Planet Junior wrenches actually are for Planet Junior cultivators. So I was correct. It was agricultural. I just couldn't remember exactly what it was. And the Planet Junior cultivator was invented by a guy named Allen. His last name was Allen, A-L-L-E-N, I believe. I forgot the first initials. But if you want to Google Planet Junior history, you'll find out that the company that he formed that made these was also famous. His other famous invention was the flexible flyer sleds, which were the sleds that had the narrow steel rails, and they were elevated with a wooden deck that you laid on, and there was a mechanism up front
that when you pushed on it with your feet, or if you were laying on it and used your hands, it would actually flex the rails and allow you to steer this sled in the snow somewhat. But anyways, as a kid, I had quite a good time on those sleds back in the day. And those sleds are still made today. They're now made by a Chinese company, but it's the same design. But it's just an interesting little sidetrack of history. I got this book off a dealer who didn't have any machinist items, but he just happened to have this book, and I got it for $3 because it's in really rough shape. But I still wanted it because it is the American Machinist's Handbook by Colvin and Stanley. So this was the book that was, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of competed with the Machinery Handbook. And the Machinery Handbook is the one that everybody has. This is the lesser known one. And what's cool about this one is that this is a second edition. So this is a pretty darn early one. Let's see if I can find a date on here. I mean, it's just really falling apart, which is a shame, but still kind of cool. I guess somebody couldn't get their pen to write, so they were scribbling on that page. 1914, London Hill Publishing, McGraw-Hill Book Company. There's a section on tooth spacing of files. All right, $3. Then a dealer let me put together this pile right here and get this for $20. Got a couple of 1, 2, 3 block shop made. They're marked Ron 1 and Ron 2. They're okay. There's one area here damaged. It's kind of interesting. Almost looks like it looks like an EDM went at it. He wrote it away or something. Anyways, this is a little Starrett V block number 278. It's in decent shape, no clamps or anything. This looks like another one of these Worcester Boys Trade screw jacks that I find from time to time. A little bit different take on the locking nut down here, which is often missing on a lot of these. But most of these, the locking nut is a knurled wheel the same diameter as this wheel. And then what's nice is instead of just having the hole in the top, he actually had one of the original, by the looks of it, one of the original little accessories here that turns it into a little tiny V groove right there. A little holder for really small support, really small diameters, I guess. And these two really interesting appear to be shop made V blocks. We've got small V ways on the top and bottom, or sides actually. So I think these might actually be just so you can get toe clamps in there to clamp these. And then you've got a choice of this almost like a lapped finish, polished ground side, or almost like a these almost look like anvils for comparator stands. That's what it looks like to me. But there's a pair of them, so they could definitely do the job as just really nice parallels. And then last but not least in this lot for $20 was this new old stock, by the looks of it, R8. It's a slitting saw arbor, but it's interesting to me. It's a slitting or sinting, S-I-N-T-T-I-N-G saw arbor, R8 shank, made in Poland. I've never heard of that term, sinting saw. This is one of these ones that's got this stepped deal here, okay, so that you can use the same arbor for multiple different sizes. And then you've got the piece that goes on here, but what's missing is there should be a countersunk style head screw that goes in here to hold that in, but I'm sure I can find one of those eventually. And once again, I got bitten by the old vintage electronic junk bug. Guy had, I guess he had quite a few pieces, and somebody was ahead of me and bought several pieces that I didn't even get a chance to look at. And then I bought these 3 pieces I'm going to show you, and contemplated buying more, and when I went back later, the other ones were gone. So I just didn't want to get into a situation where I bought too much of this stuff, you know, condition unknown and all that. But the first piece here is a Hewlett-Packard 8116A pulse/function generator, 50 megahertz range. really don't know anything about it. We're going to learn together whether or not this has any life in it. So hopefully, yeah, this just uses the standard D-style plug. Grab one of those. All right, now for the moment of truth. That's a good sign. Yeah, maybe not.
Well, I would say this is one sick puppy, because that I got it to do that by turning it on and off quickly, because I noticed that when I turned it off, turned it back on again, actually just like a few lights would come on randomly, and I just kept doing that. Now, you can see every time I shut it off, it seems to come on with all of these lights. So the good news is the display's not bad because it's displaying something, but the bad news is it's got some other issue here. None of the buttons seem to do anything. So my suspicion is it could be a power related issue. Maybe for some reason the little CPU or microcontroller that's inside this thing isn't starting. I actually know nothing about this particular unit, how to operate it or anything like that. I know it's a function generator, obviously, and I know what a function generator is supposed to do, but this one seems like a pretty elaborate one. This is like a lab quality one. This thing is it's almost 2 feet long, so it's got a lot going on inside of it. Probably a really nice stable unit when it works. I don't think it's going to be worth it for me to mess around with it. I'll probably just sell it as is. Like I said, I'm into the 3 pieces for $35, so I'm into each one of these for like $12.
So I was just looking it up online, and while I was doing that, it sat here and started to make some other strange noises. Almost sounded like a second fan tried to power up, and then it did a pulsing thing, and now it's saying E01. So I'm guessing that's error 01. Oh, look at that. Son of a gun. This thing just started working. Okay, so what that tells me is we're probably dealing with some capacitors in there, more than likely are going to be the culprits, that once this started warming up a little bit, those capacitors started to work a little bit better. If I wanted to diagnose this further, probably the easiest way would be to get in there with some coolant freeze spray and start spraying around and seeing if I could find if it's a solder joint or a capacitor that's responding thermally, and then either replace the cap or resolder it as necessary. Okay, so maybe this is working. Let's see what happens when we shut it off and power it back up. That ought to be funny. A short delay I would think would be normal as it goes through a self-test or something, but see, now it's dead again. And the next item of the 3 that I got for $35 is this nice Heathkit branded VFO. It's an HG10B. So Heathkit, for those of you who don't know, back in the day was a company that made kits that you could assemble yourself. And they also made items that you could either buy the kit and assemble it yourself, or you could actually have them professionally assemble it for you, because they had a whole range of amateur radio gear that they had, transceivers and stuff like that. And this would be a companion component for one of their radio setups. I'm not sure which one. It's got kind of this neat band switch deal here. I have no way of testing this because it is powered off of whatever radio it's supposed to be an accessory to through this funky octal plug on the end here. I opened it up because there was something rattling around inside and I wanted to see what it was, and it ended up being this tiny washer and this tiny nut. So I'm just going to see where those belong and put them back and do nothing else to this thing. I'm going to leave it unmolested for the next owner to experiment with. It looks like it's in excellent shape. Doesn't have any indication that it's been in a wet environment or anything like that. And I'm not seeing anything in here that screams like really bad workmanship. So this was either assembled by somebody who took pride in their workmanship, or it was done at the factory. I don't know.
Well, upon a closer examination, I did notice something that's really ham and egg over here. These two screws, these are countersunk screws that are oversized, that were just forced into these holes and threaded in. So that's kind of a hack job. These are the correct screws right here on this side. And then on this side, I guess this couple screws were missing and somebody just decided to really butcher it with those things. Upon closer inspection of the input cable here, yeah, it's an 8-pin plug, but we've only got 4 wires here. A black and a red, which are probably DC voltage coming in to fuel this thing, and then a white, which is probably the RF out from the VFO, because this is an oscillator, and this green's probably the shield. So if I determine what voltage this runs off of and run it with an external power supply, I could probably verify if it's working, but I'm not going to go through all that trouble. But I do know this: if I don't get, my asking price on this thing, I will hold on to it, because I might be able to repurpose this VFO for use in one of my radios. Actually, there's an RF. All right, so this is the RF output back here. So I don't know what the white and the green wire is going to be. I'm sure I could find a schematic online and figure it out, though. But point is, I could probably make this a good usable VFO for another radio project if I needed to. So it looks like it goes up to 5 meters and down to 80 meters.
So I'm not sure. I might have said this model number wrong. It's a model number HG-10B, not a 108. But anyways, on eBay, sold auctions, somebody paid $15 and $5 shipping for this knob. So it's well worth more than what I paid for it. There was a bidding war on one of them that sold for $105.05 plus $28 shipping. That may have been a worker. The next one down sold for $99 and $19.14 shipping as a parts only unit, so untested. Another one sold for $103.50 with 7 bids, $12.50 shipping. So that's a really good find there. So I'll have to make sure I don't give that away too cheap at the Hamfest. And the third item in this lot that I bought was this Yaesu FC757AT fully automatic antenna tuner. So when I saw this, I got really excited, because I thought maybe he had the other parts, but whoever's house he cleaned out and got this stuff from, either the radio was already gone and somebody didn't take this, or maybe it was even there earlier, because he did say there was some other stuff somebody came along and bought. Why the guy would have bought the radio and not taken the antenna tuner, I don't know. Maybe he didn't realize it. On eBay, these still trade for decent money. Again, really don't have a way to test it, because by design it's made to basically hook up to the transceiver. Now there's a couple of different transceivers that I guess used this antenna tuner back in the day. So fortunately this thing runs off of regular 13 volt DC voltage. So I already found the pin out for this pin, for this plug on the back here, and figured out which 2 pins are used for the power. So pin 3 is the ground pin. No, I'm sorry. Pin 1 is the ground pin, and pin 7 is the B plus, or the 13 volts in. So interestingly enough, the pinout's kind of crazy here. This lower right hand pin is pin 1, and then it goes 2, 3, and then you go back down to the middle, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, and 9. So 6 and 9, you'll notice there's no pins present for 6 and 9. That's because 6 is labeled as transmit ground, not connected, and 6 is not connected, and 9 is also not connected. But I do know that that's going to be my ground and my 12 volts, so I can feed 12 volts to this and just see if it turns on, and then at least, I can sell it as is, but I know it's not dead. All right, I managed to rig up my power supply here. Hey, actually powers up.
mean, I don't know for sure, but I think this is working. The noise you hear inside when I switch bands is a motor that's actually turning the tuning condenser. So I've got it in manual right now. So I'm using the up and down buttons. And then I'm guessing if this was hooked up to a radio, you would hit start and it would probably just automatically tune to whatever band the radio has selected. So let's see what else we can do here. You can manually select. All right, that's the tune. I can hear the motors moving something in there, so that's all a good sign. And then we've got, it's on antenna antenna A right now. We can select B1, B2, B3, B4. Interesting. Okay. And the meter is a power output and an SWR meter. Oh, so we've got a switch for a dummy load. So the question is there an internal dummy load on this thing? Probably not. There's probably one of those jacks on the back is probably what you hook the dummy load up to. All right, well, that's all you need to do to mess around with this and just be satisfied that it's doing something. So it's not a DOA unit. I always say that I'm not going to buy any more of these surface gauges, but this one, I just thought it had a neat look to it. There is a name on here. So it's marked FG White, and it's way too nicely done to have just been somebody's name engraved in there. So I actually think this might be the manufacturer. But, normally with the condition being so bad, and because I have so many of these, I wouldn't bother. But A, it's not one I've seen before, I don't think, with this name on it. And B, I got it for $5. And actually, amazingly, the fine adjust works. It's not seized. The main trunnion nut here works. Even this isn't frozen. It's got the scriber, which looks original. In fact, the only thing I can really find stuck on this is the, well, actually, nope. Even, well, that locating pin is free. This one is, yeah, kind of stuck. Ooh. And then also for $5, I got this counter bore gauge for 1 to 4.5 inch diameters. And what's in here is a nasty spider. Anyways, don't mind me. So yeah, kind of a neat setup here. So this one is actually reversed right now. So you would turn this around to face the other way, and this is going to actually measure your bore. Then you can make a rough adjustment here in this track, and then you can also put different sizes on. Okay. And then there appears to be almost different accessories. So I am not familiar with this particular style kit. Here you can see here's some fingers that would have little tips that could reach down into a bore. So we'll clean that up. And it actually is still working perfectly fine. So for $5, I thought that was a pretty good deal. Somebody will probably still want that. Identify as model. 294P-122. This says property USAF. So I'm guessing this was used by the United States Air Force. May have even been made special for the government. Well, this is kind of neat. I just noticed it's got a couple of extra tips that look like they're just stored here. Yeah, they're really stuck in there. All right, took care of that spider, so I was able to get all the pieces out here. So yeah, it's quite a few little accessories here to rig up different setups for doing some bore diameters. All right, just get a few more items here from day one, and then I'll head outside and show you that nice Craftsman floor jack I got for 15 bucks, and also some welding cable. Anyways, this is a little clipper belt. This is for splicing wide belts, and this thing I got for 10 bucks, and I don't even know if it's complete. It looks a little different than some of the other ones I've seen. This looks like a model that you might be able to put in a vise like I've had before, but I don't know, something looks a little odd about it, but I'm not too worried about it. For 10 bucks it was worth it. This is a 5/8 inch square collet that 5C collet that I got for free from one of the guys that I bought a bunch of other stuff from. I just forgot that he had given that to me. And then another guy had this pair of Starrett micrometers, and I got these for 10 bucks for the pair. And yeah, they don't look that very good, but they actually are still very smooth. This is just superficial surface rust. I suspect that this probably even happened like pretty recently. I honestly think that this might be from just like setting up the night before and just leaving stuff out on a table in the morning frost, or getting to it or whatever. The ratchets are inoperable, so those are going to need some attention if they can be saved at all. And they don't look so great because of the surface rust. But these are actually pretty nice Starrett micrometers. These are not 436s, the common ones you tend to find. These are number 239s. So this is the 2 to 3 inch, and this is the 3 to 4 inch. The 239 series of micrometer has a heavier frame. This frame is thicker. They're just beefier. The thimbles are larger. It's kind of hard to tell, but if I put my thumb next to it, you can see that this whole area here is thicker. Even the ratchet mechanism is larger. They just seem like a beefier micrometer, and they are tenths micrometers. They have the vernier here, so you can get pretty accurate with that extra decimal place. I also noticed that the carbides are these are carbide tipped, and they're in excellent condition, so those might be worth spending a little time and cleaning up. All right, let's go take a look at that last couple of items, and then we'll close out this day one, and next episode you'll see will be day two's picks, because I went back on Saturday for some more.
This is the Craftsman floor jack that I ended up getting for 15 bucks, and it actually works perfectly fine, except it's missing the second part of the handle there, but I can make up another part for a handle. So it's a 1.5 ton, so it doesn't have the lifting power of my other jack, but what I like about it is it's lighter overall. It's got this nice big roll in the front, which makes it actually easier because I'm dragging this thing across my gravel driveway all the time. So anyways, the 15 bucks, well worth it to me. And this is the welding cable that I got for 40 bucks. It's pretty beefy. It's AUT4 cable. I think it's AUT4. So some pretty heavy duty stuff. Can see how thick it is next to my thumb, and it's got these nice big heavy duty like Tweco style connectors on it. Not sure how many feet it is, but it's pretty heavy. I remember at the time when I bought it, I was thinking it's probably at least $40 worth of scrap and copper there, and that was then. And now copper is like at record highs. Not that I'm going to scrap it. So we're going to close out part one right here. I've got plenty more to come. So hopefully you'll watch that video. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. And if you like the videos, please hit the like button. Take care.